Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. I'm François Picard. Our guest, one of the leading scholars on Islam and political Islam. Gilles Capel teaches at the London School of Economics and Paris's Sciences Po Political Science Institute. Thanks for being with us.
My pleasure.
Now that the storm is finally abated, the media storm over that anti-Islam video out of California, let's take stock for a second here. First of all, are you surprised by how much furor it sparked?
Well, there was quite a discrepancy between the media coverage and what actually took place. I mean, the starting point was the terrible thing that happened on the 11th of September in Benghazi, and it was the 11th anniversary of the 11th of September, and as we all know, jihadists just love those mathematics. Also, what was very striking was that whoever did that, and it's still unclear for the time being, it shows that, you know, it's not your average jihadi with a gun who killed the American ambassador and his team. I mean, it was clearly something which smeared of, you know, a state and its secret services doing the thing. So this is something which is not yet clear for the moment. But after that was done, then the pretext that was used sort to clothe this terrorist attack, i.e. This despicable video, was sort of, boosted by the media, and it was pinpointed as something that would, inflame the Arab world again, the Muslim world, just like as a sort of remake of the Rushdie affair and a remake of the cartoons affair in 2005.
But boosted by the media, but as you say, ambassador killed, riots in several cities, the media had to cover the story.
Yes, absolutely, but this was not exactly the same. I mean, you had the attack against the ambassador, and then probably too much importance was given to the cartoon as the spark that had ignited the fire. I mean, the assassination of the ambassador was not caused by the movie. It was something that had been planned sidewise, and the movie was used as a pretext.
Used as a pretext by whom? For what purpose?
Well, by whoever is interested in mobilization in the Arab world today for the sake of jihadi or radical Salafi movements. Because, as you know, there is a big battle which is raging in the Arab world, particularly in countries where the former despots have been were topholds, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, among others, between a number of different forces, competing forces for the future of the revolution, whether they be Democrats, secularists, Islamists, and within the Islamist Muslim Brethren, or jihadis, or Salafis. And there are a number of forces which are mingling into that. I mean, Qatar has, from the start, been on the side of the revolutions. It is now favoring the Muslim Brothers in their different appearances or different
embodiments.
Sorry, in Nahda in Tunisia, or the Brothers in Egypt or in Libya. Saudi Arabia, which was far more careful and far more fearful originally, is now putting its weight behind a number of Salafi groups. And also the Arab revolutions have evolved. I mean, phase one was the toppling of the despots. Phase two, the institutionalization of the revolution with the elections, which in most cases Islamic or Islamist groups won, even in Libya, where originally the secularists led by Mahmoud Jibril had the advantage. I mean, nowadays the one who was elected prime minister is someone who is of Muslim Brother lenience. And then the third stage, the first phase, is this sort of big Shia-Sunni divide, and the battlefields was Bahrain originally, and it is now Syria.
So it doesn't sound good the way you're describing it. It sounds as though it's really going to radicalize?
No, not really, because this is part and parcel of all revolutions. I mean, the French Revolution took something like 100 years, and we French tend to believe that we're the vanguard of the world, so can you imagine? It's not true, as the Brits know. And what is striking is that, for instance, in Tunisia, in Libya, and in Egypt, where I've spent a lot of time over the last months, there is a major difference between what people live now and what they lived before. I mean, you just could not express yourself. In Libya under Gaddafi, you would be shot to death whenever you wanted to say something that did not.
So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, I guess so. And there is a significant upsurge of, say, Salafi movements for the time being, largely because a number of people who started the revolution, who came from the truly disadvantaged, I mean, from the poor, the groups who had no jobs, have not seen any betterment. On the contrary, over the last year or so, something which is not, special to the Arab world. There is a crisis, an economic crisis in the whole world, and it's the same in France and other countries. But they feel that they have been betrayed, that the revolution that they started has been confiscated from them.
And when you see, for instance, that it's small vocal minorities, but ones that can be extremely violent, do you share, for instance, the view held by Salman Rushdie, who's just published a book about his experience, where he says he feels as though the world is a more intolerant place, not just Muslims, he's saying. In his native India, it's also Hindus as well.
Well, there are definitely waves of intolerance which sort of flare up due to the fact that 25 years ago we had no internet, we had no nothing, and therefore, the social media that were lauded at the start of the Arab revolutions can also play the other way around, because they bring together small groups in California, in Birmingham, in Jakarta, wherever.
And it becomes a global argument.
It becomes a global village, which is a nasty global village, as opposed to the virtuous global village. But by and large, for instance, when we look at what happened, or what did not happen in France this weekend, where after we had some cartoons that were published by the French weekly Charlie Hebdo, the whole press said that, it would be weeks of riots and angry French Muslims would go on rampage, and nothing happened.
Was Charlie Hebdo right to poke fun at the Prophet Muhammad? A lot of people are divided over this issue.
You have freedom of expression in France, which is even more limited in its scope than the First Amendment in the US, for instance. But people are free to express whatever they think, if they want to criticize religion or non-religion, it's okay. The problem was whether those cartoons actually were debasing people because of their faith. And therefore, it could be a case for attacks on racism, and it could fall under the laws that we have that prohibit racism in a pretext, whether it is race, belonging to a special religion, or gender, or what have you.
Now, the French government banned demonstrations against those cartoons. Were they right to do so? Were they really radicals that are that dangerous?
Well, the problem, I believe, was twofold. Last week we had a small demonstration, 152 people demonstrated. They were all arrested and then freed, and their identity was checked. And it happened on the Champs-Élysées. People demonstrated in between the Ministry of Interior and François Hollande's palace in the Élysées, something that never happened. So it was not great in terms of image. And B, we still live in France under the shadow of the Mohamed Merah affair, this young kid from the poor outskirts of Toulouse that, was an average thug, if I may say so, and who became a jihadist Salafist, who was radicalized in jail, then was sent to Afghanistan and a number of other places, was sort of self-educated in Al-Qaeda ideology, and finally went on a killing rampage. But what was striking was that, and very, I think, encouraging, was that most of the, not only the organizations that say that they're representative of the Muslim religion in France, but also grassroots groups of young people from Muslim descent in the banlieues, in the outskirts of the big cities, condemned the whole thing, saying that, we are not interested in those demonstrations. Charlie Hebdo is just despicable, and we are not going to play the fools. We're not going to be there so that the journalists see us shouting and throwing stones and give a bad image of us. And this has to be put, I think, in relation with the fact that this is the first year in France where we had members of the parliaments that were elected in our majority system of elections that were from Muslim descent. So there is a space for a significant space now for the political expression, the institutionalized political voice of people from the outskirts of the big cities, whose parents came from North Africa. And this widens the democratic space. So therefore, when there is more democracy, the world is not a worse place than it was. It's a better place.
All right. They say the squeaky wheel gets the wheel. Gilles Kepel putting the finger on where things went right. I want to thank you for joining us. And thank you for being with us here in the France 24 interview.